This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. Back to the regular schedule. I think this is the first regular week in well over a month. Maybe once we started Slichos, 6 weeks ago, it's been quite a season. So we this is the week where we begin the second month since Rosh Hashanah. It's not the second month of the year, but Cheshvan, or MARCHESHVAN, is the first month that we get back to regular schedule. It's interesting. The Chidah brings down, it's also in the Sefer Moyed L'Chol Chai, that in the days after Sukkot, one should be mechazik themselves in Avodas Hashem and Limud Torah, especially the first 12 days after Sukkot. The first 12 days after Sukkot correspond to the 12 months of the year. Each day corresponds to another month. So now we're holding, Sukkot was over, Tuesday. So Wednesday was Nisan. Thursday was Iyar. Friday was Sivan. Shabbos is Tammuz. Now we're in the month of Av. I guess when Tisha B'Av is exactly. But every day corresponds to a month of the year. And if you're mechazik yourself now, you'll be successful throughout the whole year. The Moed L'Chol Chai says, all the mechabrim of Sfarim know. Anyone who writes Sfarim knows that this is the best time to start, because if you start now, you will be successful. But in any endeavor, he says, for business, for ruchnias, now's the time to start any project you have. There's a very interesting phenomenon we encounter. Chazal say, Kol hascholos kashos. All beginnings are difficult. Which is not true. All beginnings are difficult. The beginning is always the easiest. Everyone starts Daf Yomi. It's not the beginning that's difficult. It's Ba Shabbos Ba Menucha, which is difficult. It's the second Masechta, which is difficult. Most people, they come to Shor Rosh Hashanah and they daven with Kavana. It's not Rosh Hashanah that's hard. It's afterwards where keeping up the momentum. But the answer is, Rosh Hashanah is not the beginning, really. The beginning is after that. The beginning is when the excitement wears off. That's the real beginning. Where's there a remez to Shnayim Mikra? Not in Bereshis. It's in Shemais. Because Bereshis is not the beginning. Because that's like the introduction. Everybody does that. The beginning is when not everybody is doing it. So the beginning of the year is Chodesh Cheshvan. The beginning of Maver Sedra is Chayiv Adam Likrois HaParsha. Shnayim Mikra is Shemais. The beginning of the year is Cheshvan. So according to that, we could say, there's a question, where does the name MARCHESHVAN come from? And is it MARCHESHVAN? And is it one word or two words? The Glatstein Siman Dalet brings MARCHESHVAN, one word. Why is it called MARCHESHVAN? So the Glatstein brings that it's called MARCHESHVAN because in order to determine the calendar, we have to determine how long Cheshvan is. So Cheshvan actually determines the calendar for the whole year. So Mar, Mister, it's prestigious, it's chashuv. So it's called Mar because it's the Roish L'Chol HaChadoshim. So the Nachashivah asks on such a notion, it should be MARCHESHVAN, two words. Nobody says it as two words. In all the sources, in the Piyut for Musaf, for the first day of Pesach, it's MARCHESHVAN, one word. In the Targum Sheni HaMegillah, it's MARCHESHVAN, one word. And also, it's not only dependent on Cheshvan, it's also dependent on Kislev. Because depending on how long Kislev is, that also determines the calendar. So it should be Mar Kislev. So he says it can't be Mar is Mister, but the name of it is MARCHESHVAN. But according to what we're saying, the beginning of the year, Cheshvan is the beginning of the year. Cheshvan is the beginning. The beginning starts after the beginning is over. In other words, the fake beginning is when everyone's involved. Yet Masechta doesn't start, so Masechta always starts Daf Beis. Why? Because the real beginning is everyone buys the Art Scroll Gemara Volume 1. The question is, do they open it up? So really the beginning is Daf Beis. The beginning is Shemais. The beginning is Cheshvan. Mar Cheshvan. It's the beginning of the year. That's one interesting possibility and why it's called MARCHESHVAN. Because the real beginning is now. Right? We didn't have bagels on Rosh Hashanah. Now you have bagels. Because you eat a bagel, that will fuel you basically for the rest of the year. It's enough sugar to fuel you for a good couple of weeks. If you eat a bagel, you could go into the Sahara Desert for months and months and months. It will keep the sugar levels high. So it's like the beginning of the year. Here's another pshat in MARCHESHVAN. The Sefer Shar HaChatzer brings from the Pri Chadash in Hilchos Gittin, Siman Kuf Chavav. MARCHESHVAN, there's a pasuk in Yeshaya, Hein goyim kemar midli. Mar is lashon of rain. The Gemara in Tainus says the Yoira is in MARCHESHVAN. So it's MARCHESHVAN, the rain. The rain. It's a rainy month. When did the Mabul start? Cheshvan. So that's why we start to read about the Mabul. I'm just saying, adding perhaps in the month of Cheshvan. The Sefer Kemach Soila says there's no Yom Tov in Cheshvan. Therefore it's called MARCHESHVAN, a lashon of bitterness. There's no Yom Tovim. Right? You knew that, right? There's no, besides Justin's wedding, there's no, and my anniversary, of course, coming up. Big one. Okay? But besides that, there's no Yomim Tovim. So the Sefer Shar Chatzar asks, what do you mean there are no Yomim Tovim? If you look in Megillas Tainis, a lot of things going on. Chav Gimel Cheshvan. There's a happy occasion. And in that case, on the 25th of Cheshvan, something happened. And the 27th of Cheshvan. And don't say, well, Megillas Tainis is Batel, because before it was Batel, why was it still called MARCHESHVAN? And also there are other months that have no Yom Tovim. Like? It should be Mar Tammuz. No, my birthday's then, so we don't call it Mar Tammuz. Sorry, but no, why don't we call it Mar Tammuz? Mar Av. Mar Elul. There are no Yom Tovim Elul. So the question is, why is it called MARCHESHVAN? So the Sifrei Chasidus say, this is brought in the Sefer Yismach Yisrael of the Rebbe of Alexander. We're on a roll. He says, and from the name of the Kazhnut Magid, also the Sfas Emes brings from the Chidushei Harim that MARCHESHVAN is a lashon of merach misrachshin sifasai, the lips that are moving. You know, there's a halacha. The Gemara Megillah brings a halacha that if someone's davening, he has to wait a certain amount of time, the amount of time it takes to walk 4 cubits before he uses the Beis HaKisei, because for 4 cubits, even after you stop, the lips are still moving. You know, people daven on autopilot. It's basically, you crank yourself up, and then the words come out. So you're not allowed to go to the bathroom right after you daven. You have to pause, because even though in your mind you think you stopped, but the mouth is still going. So the mouth's still going, you have to wait a few seconds. So the whole Yomim Noraim, we're davening. So in Cheshvan, the lips are still going. Actually, there's interesting, are you allowed to, let's say, Stam, on a regular Tuesday, let's say, Rafi davens Chazal Shas, I want to go, na 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 na. It's Aser. You're not allowed to sing tunes of Yom Naram, except for during Yom Naram. It's Ma'ir Midas Hadin. I only did that just so you know what I'm talking about. But you're not allowed to sing. In fact, they had a big asifa. No, on Simchas Torah, Reb Gershon Edelstein came for Hakafah Shniyos, and they started to sing. V'chin tzadikim, and he, So they thought, it's Anivos. No, not Anivos. He said, you're not allowed to sing V'chin tzadikim, it's from Yom Naram, it's not Yom Narai. We can't be Ma'or Midas Hadin now, during this Man Simchasenu. Okay. Some say, not that the lips are still going, but we know there's an idea that when a person is inspired, they have to put the inspiration into action. So MARCHESHVAN is saying, Merachshan, you just had a month of inspiration, so now put into action. The lips should still be going in Tefillah and in Torah. But now I want to share with you really an amazing thing about Cheshvan, the most neglected month of the year, in a way might be the most important month of the year. Could I have a siddur with Tehillim in it? There's, first of all, thank you, the month of Cheshvan corresponds to which Shevet? Menashe. And in the Sefer HaYetzirah, he brings that the sense that is associated with Cheshvan is a sense of smell. So if we look in Tehillim, Parak Pei, you have a Tehillim? Everyone should have a Tehillim, so you can see it in a Veinig. Take out a Tehillim, Parak Pei. This is one of the prakim that was said by the Bnei Kairach, and the pasuk says like this: Lefnei Ephraim uBenyamin uMenashe oyrura es kvurasecha. Before Ephraim, Benyamin, and Menashe, arouse your might, ulecha lishu'asa lanu, and come save us. Question: why are we invoking Ephraim, Benyamin, and Menashe? You're familiar with that parak? Parak Pei? You know that one? It's Parak Pei. Why are we invoking Ephraim, Binyamin, and Menashe? And is this in order or not in order?
No, Binyamin is the youngest. After Ephraim.
It's not the order of their birth. It's not the order of the Degalim. So what's going on over here? What is David HaMelech saying? Lefnei Ephraim uBenyamin uMenashe. Menashe was the Bachar, right? So why is he last? Ephraim was younger. Why is he first? Benyamin is older than both of them. Why is he in the middle? Okay, this is a question that is discussed in many Mekaimos in the Sefer Bnei Yissaschar. And he discusses it in Chodesh Tishrei, and he also discusses it in Chodesh Cheshvan. This is the basis of understanding Chodesh Cheshvan, this pasuk. How so? There's a famous Yalkut Shimoni that you're all familiar with, but sometimes we forget about the end. When Moshe made the Mishkan, does anybody remember what month did he complete the Mishkan in? That's when he built it. But when was he done putting it together? And he had to wait. He finished it on Chanukah. And God said, you know what? I'm not ready for you to be mechanechet. Let's wait until Nisan, the month that Yitzchak was born in. And what was Kislev's reaction, Yehuda? Was Kislev happy? It was Mizbayesh. So Hashem said, I'm going to pay you back. We're going to inaugurate the second Beis HaMikdash in what month? Kislev. Even though, what do you mean? That was the time that the Chashmonaim rededicated it. What about when they built it? No, the Iker Bayesheni is when they rededicated it, not when they built it. When did Shlomo build the Bayis Rishon? Remember, there's a man named Solomon. Remember Solomon? The wise king? He built the first temple. Anybody know when he completed it? In Malachim Aleph, Parak Vav, Pasuk Lamed Ches. He completed B'chodesh. Good. The Pasuk says though, B'yarach Bul. He completed it in Bul. What month is Bul? Cheshvan. How is Bul Cheshvan? The Tzaddik HaKohen says, it's the month of Bul, the month, it's just what, it's missing a letter. It's missing the letter Mem. What happened in the month of Bul? The Mabul. Bul is Cheshvan, Mabul. And through the 40 days of Tshuva, they were able to take out the Mem of the Mabul, and it became Chodesh Bul. Now, even though the Pasuk says Shlomo completed it in Cheshvan, but he didn't inaugurate it, Moed Katan, until, like Rabbi said, Tishrei. Says the Medrash, Cheshvan was embarrassed. Hashem said, I'll pay you back. The inauguration of the third Beis HaMikdash will be in Cheshvan. You know that? So the inauguration of the Mishkan was supposed to be in Nisan, is supposed to be in Kislev. It was in Nisan. When was Kislev paid back? Bayis Sheni. Bayis Rishon, it was supposed to be in Cheshvan. It wasn't. It was in Tishrei. When will Cheshvan be paid back? Third Beis HaMikdash. That's the Medrash. It's a Medrash. Says the Bnei Yissaschar, Mavuar Mizeh, Chinuch Bayis HaGimel, B'mehera B'yameinu, Yia B'mar Cheshvan. So the three chinuchim of the three batim, Tishrei was Bayis Rishon, Cheshvan is Bayis Shlishi, Kislev is Bayis Sheni. You got that? Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Rishon, Shlishi, Sheni. Who are these 3 months? These 3 months, Tishrei is Ephraim. Haben Yakir li, Ephraim. Okay. Cheshvan is Menashe. Kislev is Binyamin. All the children of Rachel, she's Ikeres Habayis, Beis HaMikdash. We say Tamoich Ashurai b'Magaloisecha bal namoitu pa'amai Tamoich Tishrei Mar Cheshvan Kislev is when we will be supported. Okay, so now we understand Ribono Shel Olam Lefnei Ephraim Tishrei Bayis Rishon uBinyamin. Binyamin is what's the order here? So why in this order? Tishrei is Ephraim, Cheshvan is Menashe, Kislev is Binyamin. So why in this order? Because here in the pasuk it says Lefnei Ephraim. Ephraim is Tishrei, Bayis Rishon. Binyamin is Kislev, Bayis Sheni. Umenashe is Bayis Shlishi. Not in order of the months, in order of the Batei Mikdashim. Now, basically from here we see the chinuch of the third Beis HaMikdash will be in Cheshvan. Why? Says Bnei Yissaschar, it is well known from Menachem Mendel Miriminov that all the Gezeros Rois that the Sonei Yisrael ever decreed on Klal Yisrael, from the government, whether it's taxes or the like, they always do it in Cheshvan. Anybody know why? Because when did the Aser Hashvatim rebel against King David? Malachim Beis Parak Yizayim Pasuk Chav Aleph. Vayamlichu es Yeravam. In what month? In Cheshvan. And, by the way, Yeravam made a big festival in the 8th month. What's the 8th month? Cheshvan. It says, B'chodesh asher badu milibai. Milibai is Mabul or Mibul. Therefore, since they broke away from King David in Chodesh Cheshvan, all Gezeros of the Malchios are in Cheshvan. And you know what they said in the month of Cheshvan? Re'ei Beischa David. They were Mavaza David. So therefore, the Tikkun b'mehera b'yameinu, since the breakaway from David was in Cheshvan, the rectification will be in Cheshvan. The Malchus will be in Niskan. So Bayis Rishon is Tishrei, Ephraim. Bayis Sheni is Kislev, Binyamin. Bayis Shlishi is Cheshvan, Menashe. Therefore, the Bnei Korach were Misbalel, Lefnei Ephraim, Binyamin, Umenashe, Oyrura es Gevura Secha. Now, let's talk about smell. This is classic Bnei Yissaschar. This is probably the most famous piece in the Bnei Yissaschar. When Adam Arishon, this week's Parsha, Adam Arishon sinned. So what did he do? He saw the fruit. He took the fruit. He didn't actually use his hands. His hands were not used in the sin. But he saw, he listened to his wife. He felt the fruit. He tasted the fruit. It doesn't say he smelled the fruit. Says the Bnei Yissaschar, from here we see that the sense of smell was never nifgam by the ched of Adam Arishain. It remained in its pristine form. That is why the Gemara in Brachos asks, should you make a bracha on besamim, or should you not make a bracha on besamim? What do you mean, should you? I thought, Asr la'adam lehanos ba'olam hazeh b'lai bracha. You're not to get benefit in this world without a blessing. So why does the Gemara have a shaila whether you need to make a bracha on besamim? The answer is, why do we make a bracha? To be mevarer, to clean out any ra in food. But in besamim, there's no ra, because the Eitz Hadas never affected it. It never entered the sense of smell. So the Gemara has a shaila whether you make a bracha on smell. What's the constellation of Cheshvan? Scorpion. Well, Meir. That's a big einfall. Very good. The Meir Fuchs got it. The scorpion. Akrav. Akrav could stand for Iker, bias. The Iker bias will be built in this month. Akrav. Iker bias. Now, that is why the Gemara in Sanhedrin says, how do you know if someone's Mashiach? Well, we'll look at his yarmulke. If it says, the thing, then we know he's Mashiach. How do you know if someone's Mashiach? He carries a card, he has a QR code. We scan it, okay, he's a Mashiach. How do we know if someone's Mashiach? The Gemara says, "V'harichai b'yiras Hashem." If he can judge a case and whiff out the case, smell it out, you know he's Mashiach. Because if his sense of smell is pristine, so then we know he's associated with someone who's beyond any of the imperfections of David HaMelech. Bnei Yissaschar says that's why when Menashe was born, he said, Ki nashani Elokim es kol amali v'yes kol beis avi. There's a connection between Menashe and the Beis HaMikdash.
David HaMelech or Adam Rishon? The imperfections
of Adam. Well, Adam stands for Adam, David, Mashiach. Okay, one more zach. By the sale of Yosef, it says they lifted up their eyes and they saw a caravan of Yishmaelim, and they were carrying Nichais, Tsari, Veloit. And Rashi says, why do we need to know what they were carrying? It's to teach the schar of tzaddikim. Normally, Arvim, they usually carry putrid smelling things. And Hashem made a special miracle that it smelled good. So this always troubled me. The kid is being kidnapped. He's being taken away by terrorists. The chalerias, they're wearing like the thing over their face, with machine guns in it. And they're yanking him into the thing. He's feared for his life. Baruch Hashem, it smells good. The big schar of tzaddikim, the great schar of tzaddikim, that when terrorist hijackers come, they're wearing very pleasant cologne. Wow. Mamish. Ma'arav tuvcha asher tzafan. What are Chazal telling us here? He says we know that all the gzeros of the Goyim are always in the month of Cheshvan, the sense of smell. The rebellion against Malchus Beis David was in the Chodesh Cheshvan. And that's why all Gezeros are in this month. And that's why the third Beis Hamikdash will be built in this month as a tikkun. This is the month of the sense of smell. Even in Noach, by Noach, it says about the month of Cheshvan, when Noach came out of the Teva, Vayarach Hashem es reach hanichayach. So this is the month of who? Menashe. Menashe's letters neshama, because smell is davar shehaneshama nehenes by. Therefore, Yosef was the first one to go into Galus. Seems like the Bnei Yissaschar is saying, he Hine Yosef haya harishan shenichnas legalus uvechadshai hainu chodesh hameyuchas lemenashe benoi, which is a month of smell. So Hashem had it smell good as an omen to Yosef. No, you're going to have a redemption from this whole mess, because this is the month of Reach, the month where the sense, which was never impugned by Adam HaRishon, will be dominant once again. Bottom line is, the month of Cheshvan will be the month of the inauguration of the third Beis HaMikdash. And I didn't see anybody who says this, but it should be very pashat, that therefore, being the most important month of the year, it's given a very special title. MARCHESHVAN, Mr. Cheshvan. One Achroin said it's called MARCHESHVAN because the whole year is nikva based on the way Cheshvan comes out, so it's the most prestigious. But they asked, but it's also dependent on Kislev. So Kislev should also be Mar Kislev. But now we're learning that there's something very important about Cheshvan. In a way, it's the most important month of the year. And that is, it's the month of the inauguration of the third Beis HaMikdash. So Tishrei is only the inauguration of the first. So we don't call it Mar Tishrei. And Kislev is only the inauguration of the second. So it's not called Mar Kislev. But Cheshvan, we call it Mar Cheshvan. And it's a way of reminding us to be Metzapeh for the Geula and the Binyan Bayis Shlishi Sheyibane B'mher V'yameinu. And therefore, David HaMelech is Mispalel Lefnei Ephraim Tishrei U'Binyamin Kislev U'Menashe Cheshvan Oira Eskvurasecha Ulacha Lishuasa Lanu. So, a guten Chodesh. Hatzlacha.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.